Here's a wake-up call that might shock Hawaii tourism officials. The paradise they've been banking on is quietly pricing itself out of the market while scrappy competitors are swooping in to steal their thunder. The numbers don't lie. Hawaii's vacation costs are spiraling upward faster than a helicopter tour over Diamond Head, and travelers are starting to vote with their wallets by going elsewhere. We're talking about airfare prices that make your eyes water, accommodation taxes pushing nearly 20%, parking fees that rival Manhattan, and resort charges that seem to multiply like rabbits. Meanwhile, destinations like Cancun just celebrated their first year-over-year visitor increase after more than 12 months in the red. And Tahiti is rolling out the red carpet with daily Dreamliner flights straight from San Francisco. But here's where it gets controversial. Is Hawaii deliberately sabotaging its own tourism industry? Or is this all part of some master plan that locals actually support? The data from July tells a sobering story. Both visitor arrivals and tourist spending took a nosedive in Hawaii, while competing tropical destinations are expanding their reach and generating serious buzz in travel circles. This raises an uncomfortable question that tourism boards probably don't want to hear. Has Hawaii, whether by design or accident, started losing the battle for travelers dreaming of their next island getaway? The great pivot, managing paradise instead of growing it. The Hawaii Tourism Authority has been making a dramatic shift that's raising eyebrows across the travel industry. Instead of chasing bigger visitor numbers like they used to, they're now focused on something they call destination management. Sounds fancy, right? But what does that actually mean for the average vacationer? This philosophical change became crystal clear during a recent community meeting on Kauai, where local residents packed the room and covered discussion boards with sticky notes. Their demands were surprisingly basic: safer hiking trails, clean public restrooms, well-maintained parks, and relief from the crushing crowds at Instagram-famous spots. Here's the thing that struck everyone in attendance. Locals weren't anti-tourism. They acknowledged that visitor dollars keep their economy humming. What they were fed up with was the feeling that tourism's impact on their daily lives had spiraled completely out of control. And this is the part most people miss. Hawaii is sitting on nearly $2 billion in July visitor spending alone. Yet both residents and tourists are still encountering broken bathroom facilities, sidewalks so dangerous they've sparked lawsuits and fatalities, and traffic jams that would make Los Angeles commuters weep. That's a disconnect that creates friction for everyone involved. If Hawaii genuinely commits to improving the experience for both locals and visitors, they might just discover a way to maintain their competitive edge, even as beach destination rivals continue expanding their market share. The fatigue factor. When paradise feels like work. Remember when mainland visitors used to shrug off Hawaii's premium prices without batting an eye? Those days are fading fast. Today's travelers are asking harder questions about value, and frankly, they're not loving the answers they're getting. The modern Hawaii vacation has transformed into what feels like an obstacle course of additional fees and bureaucratic hurdles. You've got parking charges, resort fees, those hefty accommodation taxes approaching 20%, timed entry requirements for beaches and parks, and airfare costs that can trigger sticker shock even among affluent travelers. For many people, this creates a vacation experience that feels more like navigating a corporate expense report than escaping to paradise. July statistics, showing both arrivals and spending declining simultaneously, suggest this visitor fatigue isn't just anecdotal anymore. It's hitting Hawaii's bottom line where it hurts most. Cancun's comeback story, a direct threat to Hawaii's dominance. Here's something that should make Hawaii tourism officials lose sleep. Cancun's airport processed more passengers in July than the same month last year, breaking a 16-month losing streak. Why should Hawaii care? Because Cancun is fishing in exactly the same pond, targeting U.S. and Canadian travelers, families planning reunions, retirees with time and money to spend, friend groups celebrating milestones, and couples seeking romantic getaways. Cancun isn't some distant competitor operating in a different league. It's going after. For travelers on the East Coast, getting to Cancun takes less than half the flight time required to reach Honolulu. From the Midwest and southern states, it's a manageable 2 to 3 hour journey instead of a grueling cross-Pacific expedition. That convenience factor is a game changer that transforms travel decisions. Shorter flights mean more frequent trips, spontaneous bookings, and lower psychological barriers to saying yes to a vacation. Hawaii simply cannot compete with geography, which makes Cancun's recent visitor gains even more concerning when Hawaii's numbers are heading in the opposite direction. But here's where it gets interesting. Cancun isn't the bargain basement destination it used to be. The Mexican peso has strengthened considerably, moving from roughly 20 pesos per dollar to closer to 18, which effectively cuts about $100 in purchasing power for every $1,000 exchanged. Resort rates have climbed, inflation is pushing food and service costs higher, and the state of Quintana Roo now imposes a mandatory visitor tax on top of everything else. Travelers are discovering that Cancun no longer delivers the easy bargains they remember from previous visits. Yet compared to Hawaii's pricing structure, Cancun still maintains a crucial psychological advantage. While Hawaii's costs come bundled with a confusing maze of add-on fees, Cancun's all-inclusive resort model typically wraps almost everything into one predictable price. Even when the final vacation bill approaches Hawaii's cost range, Cancun scores points for transparency and generally lower overall expenses. Tahiti's surprising momentum, premium positioning that works. Tahiti might seem like a niche player, but its trajectory deserves serious attention from Hawaii's tourism strategists. United Airlines has announced plans to operate its San Francisco to Papeete route daily next summer, upgrading from 5 weekly flights, using Dreamliner aircraft equipped with Polaris business class seats. That's a level of premium service that most United flights to Hawaii don't offer. When you add French Bee, Air Tahiti Nui, and Air France operating from Los Angeles, Tahiti suddenly has more U.S. connectivity than ever before in its tourism history. Now, let's be realistic. Tahiti will never threaten Hawaii's visitor volume numbers. That's not the point. What matters is that Tahiti is visibly expanding access and building momentum precisely when Hawaii is still waiting for its Japanese and Canadian markets to bounce back to pre-pandemic levels. In competitive strategy, direction and momentum often matter more than current size. The Cook Islands. Small islands. Big ambitions. The Cook Islands are also making strategic moves that deserve recognition. New flight connections from Sydney and Brisbane are attracting record numbers of Australian visitors to complement their traditional New Zealand tourist base. Rarotonga and Aitutaki will never match Hawaii's scale, and honestly, they don't want to. Their marketing message focuses on intimacy, cultural authenticity, and a relaxed pace that reminds many travelers of what Hawaii felt like decades ago. As Hawaii's experience becomes increasingly commercialized and complicated, destinations like the Cook Islands are positioning themselves as the antidote to over-tourism stress. Hawaii's strategic challenge: geography versus experience. Hawaii faces a fundamental competitive reality. It cannot relocate itself closer to major population centers or magically shorten flight times. What Hawaii can control, however, is the quality of experience visitors receive once they arrive. Cancun may no longer be the budget option it once was, and Tahiti has never competed on price. What these destinations currently possess is renewed momentum and a sense of ease that Hawaii seems to be losing. Hawaii risks falling behind when the vacation experience feels unnecessarily complicated and overpriced at every turn. Travelers will still pay premium prices for exceptional quality, but not when every aspect of their vacation feels like another fee to pay or another hoop to jump through. When comparing Hawaii's growing stack of charges and reservation requirements to Cancun's simplified, all-inclusive model, or Tahiti's expanding flight options with competitive pricing, Hawaii too often appears as the more challenging and expensive choice. Hawaii's path forward. 3 critical moves. The fastest improvement Hawaii could make is radical transparency. Visitors understand that Hawaii commands premium prices, but what frustrates them is discovering hidden costs and access restrictions after they've already committed to the trip. Providing clear, upfront information about all costs and requirements would rebuild trust with potential visitors. The islands desperately need visible infrastructure investment. When restroom facilities are broken, hiking trails pose safety risks, sidewalks are missing or dangerous, and paid scenic attractions look run down, visitors don't care that overall spending statistics are impressive, demonstrating that higher costs translate into better cultural programs. Environmental protection and basic visitor amenities would send a powerful message about value. Most importantly, Hawaii must double down on its unique competitive advantages. The islands possess authentic Polynesian culture, extraordinary natural beauty, and a tradition of hospitality that visitors cannot find anywhere else. Price wars against Cancun or Tahiti are unwinnable, competing on genuine value, cultural authenticity, and seamless experiences might be Hawaii's winning strategy. The reality check. What lies ahead? Industry analysts project that Hawaii won't recover its 2019 visitor numbers until 2028. That means enduring 3 more years of slow progress while competitors expand their market presence and capture media attention. Cancun's July recovery, Tahiti's daily Dreamliner service, and the Cook Islands' new Australian flight connections all highlight a travel industry that isn't waiting for Hawaii to figure things out. Hawaii still occupies an unmatched position in travelers' imaginations and bucket lists. However, if the actual vacation experience continues feeling like a series of unexpected costs, rather than a warm invitation to paradise, more visitors will choose alternative destinations. Hawaii's strategic choice is whether to keep relying on brand recognition alone or to adapt quickly to a competitive environment where rivals are proving more agile and customer-focused. But here's the controversial question nobody wants to ask. Are Hawaiian residents actually okay with fewer tourists, even if it means economic consequences? And should visitors feel guilty about wanting a hassle-free vacation experience? Can Hawaii reclaim its competitive edge? Or will Cancun, Tahiti, and the Cook Islands successfully capture the travelers Hawaii is losing? When you're planning your next island escape, how do you balance cost considerations? Travel, simplicity, and authentic experiences. Are you willing to pay Hawaii's premium prices for what might be a more complicated vacation? Or are you tempted to explore these emerging alternatives? What's your take? Is Hawaii pricing itself out of your travel plans? Or do you think the islands are worth every extra dollar and inconvenience? Share your honest thoughts about where you're planning your next tropical getaway and why.